The ballroom of the Grand Majestic Hotel was dazzling, but Liam Anderson only had eyes for one person. Chloe Davis moved across the dance floor as if she owned the universe, completely oblivious to the fact that the most powerful man at Innovatech couldn't tear his gaze away from her for a single second. She laughed too loudly, danced with too much abandon, and was far too perfect for this stuffy corporate environment. Liam gripped his glass of scotch tighter than necessary. At 38, the CEO of one of the country's largest tech companies, he had seen it all. Elegant women who knew exactly how to impress, executives who spoke his language of business, socialites who knew the rules of the game. But Chloe was different. She wore a simple, navy blue dress that probably cost less than what he spent on an afternoon of shopping, and yet she managed to light up the entire room. "You're starting to look like a stalker," said Ethan Carter, appearing beside him with 2 plates of hors d'oeuvres. The senior graphic designer had a mischievous grin on his face. "Seriously, Liam, if you squeeze that glass any harder, it's going to shatter." "I am not," Liam started, but Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Okay, maybe I'm observing." "Observing is an understatement. You're practically conducting a scientific study of Chloe." And Ethan bit into a salmon canapé. "I can tell you she has no idea. She's completely in her own world, dancing like nobody's watching." But Liam was watching, and he couldn't stop. Chloe spun once more, her brown hair flying around her face, and for a moment, their eyes met across the ballroom. She stopped dancing for just a second, a small smile gracing her lips before she blushed slightly and turned back to dance with her colleagues from marketing. "Are you going to stand there all night, or are you going to do something?" Ethan asked, savoring another canapé. "Because honestly, this is getting pathetic." Liam didn't answer immediately. His mind was racing, calculating probabilities, as it always did in business. Chloe had worked at the company for 2 years, but they had never interacted directly. She was a junior analyst. He was the CEO, but there was something about her that had intrigued him since the first day he saw her in the elevator, always with a book in her hands and a genuine smile for everyone. "It's complicated," Liam finally murmured. "Complicated why? Because she's not from your social circle? Because she doesn't wear designer clothes?" Ethan paused dramatically. "Or because she's real?" Ethan's observation hit its mark. Liam was accustomed to strategic relationships, women who knew exactly what he represented financially. His last girlfriend, Victoria Sterling, was the personification of that. Elegant, ambitious, perfect on paper, but also as cold as ice and as calculating as an Excel spreadsheet. Chloe, on the other hand, was like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. Authentic, spontaneous, real, and completely out of his reach. Not because of money or status, but for something far more complicated. She seemed happy just being exactly who she was. "Should I go talk to her?" Liam asked, more to himself than to Ethan. "Dude, you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. You make decisions that affect thousands of people daily, and you're asking if you should talk to a coworker?" Ethan laughed. "Yes, you should, but not as the CEO, as Liam, the guy I met in college who used to surf until he forgot the world existed." Liam smiled for the first time that night. Ethan was right. He was overcomplicating things as usual. But before he could make a move, a familiar figure appeared at the ballroom entrance. Victoria Sterling. Dressed in an elegant black gown that cost more than Chloe's monthly salary, she walked toward them with a smile Liam knew all too well. The smile that meant trouble. "Liam, darling," Victoria cooed, kissing his cheek with practiced familiarity. "So good to see you. You seem different tonight." Ethan cleared his throat. "I think I'll go find more canapes. Or a drink. Or an emergency exit." Liam barely noticed his friend's strategic retreat. His eyes automatically returned to Chloe, who was now chatting animatedly with Olivia Chen, her best friend and roommate. The two of them looked like they were plotting something, whispering and giggling like teenagers. "She's interesting," Victoria said, following Liam's gaze. Her voice had a studied casualness he knew well. "The girl from marketing? Chloe, isn't it?" "Yes," Liam replied, trying to keep his voice neutral. "I hear she's very dedicated. Simple, but dedicated." Victoria smiled, but there was a sharp edge to it. "It must be refreshing after spending so much time with people on our level." Liam turned to face her. "Our level?" "You know what I mean. People who understand how this world works. Who know how to navigate the complexities of business, of society." Victoria paused, lightly touching his arm. "Of relationships." It was typical of Victoria to turn a casual conversation into a chess match. But Liam wasn't in the mood for games. Not tonight. Victoria, we broke up 6 months ago for a good reason. We broke up because you said you needed space to think. Well, have you thought? She moved closer, her voice dropping lower. We work well together, Liam. We understand each other. Liam was about to respond when he heard a familiar laugh. Chloe had stumbled slightly, but instead of being embarrassed, she laughed at herself in a way so genuine that Liam felt something shift in his chest. Excuse me, he said to Victoria, not waiting for a reply. Before he could change his mind, Liam crossed the ballroom. Each step seemed to amplify the music, the glittering lights, the awareness that he was about to do something that could change everything. Chloe had her back to him, still laughing with Olivia when he approached. Sorry to interrupt, he said, his voice sounding more nervous than he intended. But I was wondering if you two were having a good time. Chloe turned and Liam saw the exact moment she recognized him. Her eyes widened slightly and a look of surprise flashed across her face. Mr. Anderson, she exclaimed, and Liam noticed she was blushing again. Yes, we're having a great time. The party is amazing. Liam, he corrected gently. You can call me Liam. Olivia gave Chloe a subtle nudge and murmured something about getting a drink, disappearing with a conspiratorial smile. You're a very good dancer, Liam said, immediately feeling like an awkward teenager. Chloe laughed, a sound like music. Thank you, but I think you're being too kind. I was mostly just moving around randomly. Sometimes the best moves are the random ones, Liam replied, surprised by his own spontaneity. They stood in silence for a moment, the party's noise creating a strange bubble of intimacy around them. Liam could smell Chloe's subtle perfume, something fresh and natural that contrasted with the expensive, heavy scents he was used to. Can I ask you a question? Chloe said suddenly, seeming to gather her courage. Why are you here? I mean, I know it's your company, but you don't usually show up to these parties, do you? Liam was surprised by her directness. Most people at the company treated him with an almost religious reverence, but Chloe seemed genuinely curious. You're right. I usually avoid these events. He paused, deciding to be honest. But tonight, I felt like I should come. Why? Because Liam hesitated. How could he explain that he had spent weeks thinking about her, that he saw her in the hallways and always wanted to start a conversation but never found the courage? Because sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone. Chloe smiled and Liam felt like he'd just won an award. A comfort zone is an interesting thing, she said, looking thoughtful. Mine is probably very different from yours. Probably, Liam agreed. Tell me about yours. And so they started talking. Really talking. Not the kind of superficial dialogue Liam was used to at social events. Chloe talked about her favorite books, about Barty, her pet rabbit who had the personality of a cat, and about the plants she was growing in the apartment she shared with Olivia. Liam found himself talking about surfing, about how he missed the simplicity of being in the ocean, about how he sometimes felt trapped in the very life he had built. You surf? Chloe asked, her eyes shining with interest. Really? I never would have guessed. Why not? I don't know. You always seem so controlled, so formal. Surfing seems so free. That's exactly why I love it, Liam admitted. In the water, nothing I do here matters. It's just me, the board, and the wave. Chloe studied him for a moment as if seeing a completely new version of him. You should surf more then. I really should, he agreed, looking directly into her eyes. The moment was interrupted by Victoria's voice behind them. Liam, darling, sorry to interrupt, but Marcus Thorne is here and would like a word. Marcus Thorne was a major investor, and Liam knew he couldn't ignore him. But for the first time in years, he hesitated. Of course, he finally said, turning to Chloe. It was a pleasure talking with you. Chloe. You too, she replied, but Liam noticed a shadow of disappointment pass through her eyes. As he walked away with Victoria, Liam heard the music change to something slower, more romantic. He turned back one last time and saw Chloe rejoining Olivia, who hugged her as if she knew exactly what had just happened. Interesting, Victoria commented as they walked. She seems sweet. Liam didn't reply, but his mind was already planning his next conversation with Chloe Davis. Across the ballroom, Chloe watched Liam walk away, feeling something she couldn't name stirring in her chest. For a few minutes, she had completely forgotten where she was and who she was talking to. It had just been a conversation between two people connecting, but now reality was crashing back in like a cold wave. He was Liam Anderson, Billionaire CEO, and she was Chloe Davis, a junior analyst who lived in a rented apartment and rode the subway. But for a few magical minutes, they had just been Liam and Chloe, and that had been more thrilling than any dance. Monday arrived like a bucket of cold water. Chloe was in line for coffee at the company cafe, trying not to think about her conversation with Liam at the party, when she overheard two colleagues from finance whispering behind her. "Did you see the way he looked at her at the party?" one of them said. Liam Anderson looking at some girl from marketing like she was. "Interesting," the other completed with the tone that made it clear what she thought of the possibility. Honestly, it must have been pity, or he was just being polite. Chloe's stomach twisted. She had spent the weekend replaying every word of their conversation, every glance, every moment she felt a real connection. But maybe her colleagues were right. Maybe she had imagined it all. Double espresso as always? Asked Leo, the barista, who already knew Chloe's habits. "Triple today," she replied, forcing a smile. Tough Monday. While waiting for her coffee, Chloe checked her messages. Her mom had sent one of her morning motivational texts. "Honey, remember that you are capable of anything. Don't let anyone dim your light. Love you, Mom." Helen always knew exactly what to say. Chloe smiled genuinely for the first time since waking up and typed back, "Thanks, Mom. I need that energy today." "Chloe. Ethan's voice made her turn around. The graphic designer was approaching with a smile she knew well, the smile of someone with gossip to share. "Hey, Ethan, how was the rest of the party?" "Olivia and I left early." "Oh, it was interesting." "Very interesting," Ethan said, grabbing his usual coffee. "Especially after you talked with our dear CEO." Chloe almost dropped her coffee. "How do you know about that?" "Because I have eyes, Chloe, and because the man was completely different after talking to you. He spent the rest of the night looking at the door like he was hoping you'd come back." "Ethan, please." He was probably just being polite. "I'm just a junior employee." "Chloe Davis," Ethan said, his voice turning serious, "you need to stop diminishing yourself. You're smart, talented, funny, and genuine. Any man with half a brain would see that." Before Chloe could respond, the elevator doors opened and Liam Anderson stepped out, accompanied by 3 executives in impeccable suits. He was in full CEO mode, serious, focused, powerful, nothing like the man who had talked about surfing and freedom at the party. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Liam seemed to hesitate, as if he was about to greet her, but one of the executives said something urgent and the moment passed. Chloe felt her heart both soar and plummet at the same time. "See?" Ethan murmured. "He saw you, and for a second, he completely forgot he was in an important meeting." "You're imagining things," Chloe replied, but her voice was less convincing than she would have liked. The day passed in a blur of spreadsheets and presentations. Chloe tried to focus on work, but her mind kept drifting back to the party. Every time someone in the marketing department mentioned the CEO, she felt a knot in her stomach. Around 3 p.m., Olivia appeared at her desk with a worried expression. "Chloe, we need to talk." They went to the small conference room they used when they needed privacy. "What happened?" Chloe asked, noticing the tension in her friend's voice. "I heard some things today." "About you and Liam." Chloe's stomach dropped. "What kind of things?" "Nothing horrible, but people are talking about you two at the party and you know how it is here." "People invent stories." Chloe closed her eyes. She knew exactly how it was. Innovatic was a modern company in many ways, but it still had its share of corporate gossip and office politics. "What kind of stories?" "Some people think it was a coincidence. Others," Olivia hesitated, "others think you're trying to get his attention to get a promotion." Chloe felt like she'd been punched in the gut. "Are you serious?" "I know it's ridiculous, Chloe. Anyone who knows you would never do that. But there are some people, especially from the sales department, who are being malicious." "Great," Chloe muttered, burying her face in her hands. "Just great." "Hey," Olivia touched her arm gently. "This will pass. It's just office gossip. In a week, no one will remember." But Chloe wasn't so sure. She had worked hard to be respected for her work, not for who she knew or talked to. The idea that people might question her professional integrity made her sick. "Maybe I should just avoid any contact with him," Chloe said finally. "Chloe, no. You didn't do anything wrong. You two talked at a company party. It's normal." "Yeah, but I'm not normal, remember? I'm the girl who has a roommate, rides the subway, and wears clothes from H&M. He's the billionaire. People will always assume I have ulterior motives." Olivia sighed. "You're letting fear and the opinions of others control your life." Before Chloe could reply, someone knocked on the door. It was Amanda from reception, with a strange look on her face. "Chloe, I have a delivery for you." "A delivery?" Amanda handed her an elegant envelope with Chloe's name handwritten in a strong, masculine script. "Who sent it?" Chloe asked, her heart starting to race. "I don't know. It was left at the reception desk with no name." Chloe opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a simple card with a message. "Chloe, I'd like to continue our conversation about surfing in comfort zones. How about coffee?" Liam. Below was a personal phone number. Olivia read over Chloe's shoulder and let out a low whistle. Whoa, what?" Chloe asked, panicking. "This is a terrible idea, right? Imagine if someone finds out. Imagine what they'll say." "Chloe, breathe," Olivia said, holding her friend's shoulders. "First, he didn't ask you to come up to his penthouse. He asked for coffee. Second, you enjoyed talking to him at the party, didn't you?" "I did, but no buts. You liked him. He apparently liked you too. You're two single adults? There's nothing wrong with this." Chloe looked at the card again. His handwriting was nice, assertive but not arrogant. She could picture Liam writing it, maybe hesitating just as she was hesitating now. What if he's just being polite? What if this is pity? "Chloe Davis," Olivia said firmly, "you are an amazing woman. You're beautiful, smart, funny, and authentic. If Liam Anderson wants to have coffee with you, it's because he sees that. Stop sabotaging yourself." Chloe tucked the card into her purse, her heart pounding like a drum. She knew Olivia was right in theory, but practice was more complicated, especially now that she knew people were already talking. The rest of the afternoon passed in a haze. Chloe tried to work, but her thoughts kept returning to the card in her purse. Every time someone walked past her desk, she wondered if they knew. Around 6 p.m., when most people had already left, Chloe finally gathered the courage to pick up her phone. She typed the number 3 times before actually dialing. "Hello?" Liam's voice sounded different over the phone, more intimate somehow. "Hi, it's Chloe. Chloe Davis from marketing." "Chloe," she could hear the smile in his voice. "I'm so glad you called. I was starting to think I'd been too forward." "No, you weren't. It just took me a little while to process. I understand. So how about that coffee? I know a very quiet place, far from the prying eyes of the office." Chloe hesitated. He knew people would be talking. "Liam, I need to be honest with you. People are already talking about us from the party. If someone sees us together..." "Chloe," Liam interrupted gently, "I understand your concern, but I'm not going to stop doing something I want to do because of gossip." "Are you?" The question caught Chloe by surprise. It was a simple question, but it was loaded with meaning. She could choose to live in fear of what others thought, or she could choose to be brave. "Where?" she asked finally. "Do you know the Cozy Corner Cafe in the West Village?" Chloe knew it. It was a small, charming place frequented more by artists and writers than by executives. "I do. How about tomorrow after work?" "Around 7? "Perfect," Liam replied, sounding genuinely pleased. "Thank you for saying yes." After she hung up, Chloe stood still for a few minutes, trying to process what she had just done. She had just made a date with the CEO of her company. No, it wasn't a date. It was coffee, a conversation, a continuation of what had started at the party. She took the subway home in a state of nervousness and excitement she hadn't felt in years. When she got to her apartment in Astoria, Olivia was in the kitchen making dinner, and Barty the rabbit was sitting on the sofa as if he owned the place. "So?" Olivia asked as soon as she saw Chloe's expression. "I have a coffee date with him." Olivia dropped the spoon she was holding. "Seriously?" "Seriously. Tomorrow after work." "Chloe!" Olivia shouted, running to hug her friend. "I'm so proud of you." Barty jumped off the sofa, apparently startled by the scream, and scurried to hide under the kitchen table. "Sorry, Barty," Chloe laughed, scooping the rabbit into her arms. "And Olivia is just a little overexcited." "A little?" Olivia rolled her eyes. "Chloe, you just agreed to go out with the most eligible bachelor in New York City." "It's not a date," Chloe corrected quickly. "It's just coffee." "Of course, it's just coffee," Olivia agreed with a mischievous grin. "And Barty is just a rabbit." Chloe looked down at Barty, who was staring up at her with his big, expressive eyes as if he knew exactly what they were talking about. "What am I doing, Olivia?" Chloe asked, sitting on the sofa with Barty still in her lap. "You're living," Olivia replied, sitting next to her. "For the first time in a long time, you're actually living." Chloe heard her, but inside she was still terrified. Not of the coffee itself, but of what it could mean, what it could change, and most of all, what could go wrong. She picked up her phone and sent a text to her mom. Mom, tomorrow I'm going to need all the positive energy you can send. The reply came almost immediately. Always, my sweet girl. You are stronger and more special than you know. Trust yourself. Chloe smiled, stroking Barty. Maybe her mom was right. Maybe it was time to trust herself. But as she got ready for bed, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about what tomorrow's coffee might bring. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't know if she was more nervous or excited. One thing she knew for sure, her life was about to change. For better or for worse. Chloe changed her outfit 4 times before leaving the house. First, she chose a dress she thought was too formal, then opted for jeans and a blouse, but it felt too casual. She finally settled on a navy blue midi skirt and a simple white top, elegant without being pretentious. You look beautiful, Olivia said, appearing at the bedroom door, and stopped checking the mirror. You're perfect. What if I have nothing interesting to say? Chloe asked, applying lip gloss for the 3rd time. What if there is that awkward first date silence? First, it's not a first date, remember? It's just coffee. Second, you two talked for an hour at the party without any awkward silences. Third, you're one of the most interesting people I know. So relax. Chloe took a deep breath, grabbed her bag, and said goodbye to Barty, who watched her from the top of the sofa with an expression she swore was one of approval. The Cozy Corner Cafe was on a side street in the West Village, one of those places you only find if you know it exists. Chloe arrived 5 minutes before 7, too nervous to be late, but too worried about seeming eager. Liam was already there, sitting at a corner table, and Chloe felt her heart do a somersault when she saw him. He was wearing dark jeans and a white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, a world away from the formal executive she saw at the office. He looked younger, more approachable, more human. Chloe. He stood up when he saw her, smiling in a way that made her forget all her nerves for a moment. You look beautiful. Thanks, she replied, blushing slightly. You look different too? More relaxed. It's the effect of the jeans, Liam laughed, pulling out her chair. I should wear them more often. The cafe was exactly as Chloe remembered. Small, cozy, filled with books and plants with soft jazz music playing in the background. It was the kind of place where she felt at home, but also the last place she would expect to find the CEO of a tech company. How do you know about this place? Chloe asked, looking around. Believe it or not, I used to come here when I was younger. I had a small apartment nearby, back in college and the early days of my career. Liam paused, looking reminiscent. It was my refuge when things got complicated. Chloe tried to imagine a young, perhaps insecure, Liam seeking peace in a cafe like this. It was hard to reconcile that image with the powerful man who commanded boardrooms and made billion-dollar decisions. And now? Do you still need refuges? Liam studied her for a moment as if deciding how much to reveal. More than you know, especially lately. Before Chloe could ask what he meant, a waitress approached. Chloe ordered a cappuccino and a chocolate chip muffin. Liam ordered a black coffee. No sugar. Chloe asked, surprised. Executive's vice. Strong coffee, no distractions? That's terrible. Coffee without sugar is like life without music. Liam laughed, a genuine laugh that completely transformed his face. You have a very poetic way of seeing things. My mom always said that life is too beautiful to be lived without sugar, literally and metaphorically. Your mother sounds wise. She is. Helen Davis, the strongest woman I know. She's a seamstress, raised me and my brother on her own after our dad left. Chloe stopped, realizing she was oversharing. Sorry, I didn't mean to dump my life story on you. Please don't apologize. I asked because I want to know. Liam leaned forward, his eyes fixed on her. Tell me more. There was something in his voice, a sincerity Chloe hadn't expected that made her continue. Well, there's not much more to tell. Grew up upstate. My mom worked day and night to support us. I studied hard, got a scholarship, and moved to New York for work. A pretty common story, really. Not common at all, Liam said firmly. You built your own life. That's admirable. Chloe felt her face flush with the compliment. And you? What was your childhood like? Liam hesitated, stirring his coffee distractedly. Very different from yours. Parents were present, financially well off, but... He stopped, as if deciding whether to continue. But sometimes I feel like everything was too planned, you know? The right schools, the right college, the right career. Like I was following a pre-written script. And now? Are you happy with the script? That's a complicated question. Liam smiled, but there was a melancholy in it. Professionally, yes. Personally, he paused. I'm working on it. Chloe sensed there were layers to that answer, but didn't want to push. Instead, she decided to lighten the mood. Well, at least you have surfing to escape the script, right? Liam's face lit up. Exactly. When I'm in the water, I'm just another guy trying not to fall off his board. When was the last time you surfed? Liam thought for a moment. 3 months ago? Maybe 4. Too long. Why? Work, meetings, responsibilities? Liam sighed. Adult life, you know how it is. Actually, I'm not so sure. I'm still learning how to be a responsible adult. Chloe laughed. Last night, I had a serious talk with my rabbit about the month's bills. He wasn't very helpful. You have a rabbit? I do. Barty. He's a dwarf rabbit with a huge personality. Sometimes I think he believes he's a cat trapped in a rabbit's body. Liam laughed again, and Chloe noticed how it completely changed his face. He looked years younger when he truly laughed. I'd love to meet Barty sometime. The words slipped out before Liam could filter them, and she felt the mood shift subtly. There was a moment of silence charged with possibilities. You would? Chloe finally asked, her voice lower. I really would. They looked at each other for a moment that seemed to stretch on for much longer than it actually did. Chloe felt something stir in her chest, a mix of nervousness and anticipation she hadn't felt in a long time. Chloe, Liam said, his voice serious. I need to be honest with you about something. Chloe's heart leaped. Here it was. The part where he explained this was a mistake, that they were too different, that he was just being kind. I know that people at the office are talking about us from the party. Chloe nodded, trying not to show how much it bothered her. And I know this could be complicated for you. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or have your professional reputation questioned because of me, Liam. But, he continued, I also don't want to pretend that I don't feel a real connection with you. Because I do, and I hope you feel it too. Chloe was silent for a moment, processing his words. The raw honesty in Liam's voice surprised her. I do, she admitted finally. But you're right about the complications. Today, I overheard 2 colleagues speculating whether I was trying to use you to get a promotion. Liam's hands clenched into fists under the table. Who said that? It doesn't matter. The point is, there will always be those kinds of comments. I'm the marketing girl who rides the subway. You're the billionaire CEO. People will always question my motives. What if it didn't matter what people think? But it does matter, Liam. At least to me. I've worked hard to get where I am. I don't want anyone to think I got anything through means other than my own work. Liam nodded, understanding. I respect that more than you know. They sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own thoughts. Chloe picked at her muffin distractedly, and Liam watched people pass by on the street outside. What if, Liam said finally, what if we kept this between us for now? No rush, no pressure, just seeing where it goes. Chloe looked at him, seeing the vulnerability behind the question. How? As 2 friends who enjoy talking, who maybe meet for coffee once in a while, away from the office, away from prying eyes. Friends? Chloe repeated, testing the word. For now, Liam added, and there was a promise in those 2 words that made Chloe's heart race. I think I can live with that, Chloe said, smiling. Good. So my friend Chloe, tell me more about Barty and his opinions on household finances. And so they spent the next 2 hours talking like old friends. Liam told funny stories from the early years of the company when he and Ethan shared a tiny apartment and lived on pizza and entrepreneurial energy. Chloe talked about her arrival in New York, about how scary and exciting it was at the same time to live in such a big city. When they finally left the cafe, it was almost 10 p.m. Can I give you a ride home? Liam asked. Chloe looked at his car, a sleek BMW that probably cost more than she made in 2 years. Thanks, but I'll take the subway. It's faster at this hour. Chloe, it's almost 10 at night. Liam, I ride the subway every day. I can take care of myself. He hesitated, clearly not liking the idea, but respecting her decision. At least let me walk you to the station. Chloe agreed, and they walked the 2 blocks to the subway in a comfortable silence. At the station entrance, Liam gently took her arm. Chloe? Yes? Thank you for tonight. It's been a long time since I've felt this. Normal. Normal is good, Chloe smiled. Maybe you should try it more often. Maybe I should. For a moment, Chloe thought he was going to kiss her. He leaned in slightly, his eyes fixed on hers, and she felt the world stop around them. But then he pulled back, running a hand through his hair. "Good night, Chloe." "Good night, Liam." Chloe went down the subway stairs, her heart pounding. The entire ride home, she replayed every moment of the evening, every word, every look. When she got to her apartment, Olivia was watching Netflix with Barty in her lap. "So?" Olivia asked, pausing the show immediately. "How was it?" Chloe searched for the right words. "It was incredible. Incredible. As in, he's completely different from what I imagined. Funny, real, vulnerable. Like the person he is at the office is just a mask. And we're going to be friends. For now." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Friends? Seriously, Olivia. It's too complicated to be anything else right now." "All right," Olivia said, but Chloe could see the skepticism on her face. "But can I ask you a question?" "Sure. How did you feel when you were with him?" Chloe thought for a moment. "Like myself. Completely at ease, even in such a strange situation. Like we've known each other for years." "Chloe, that's not friendship. That's chemistry." Before Chloe could answer, her phone vibrated. A text from Liam got home. "Thanks again for an amazing night. I'm already missing our conversation." Chloe stared at the message, feeling a goofy smile spread across her face. "Yeah," she murmured, "maybe it is chemistry." But as she got ready for bed, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about the complications this chemistry could bring at the office, with the gossip, the glaring difference between their realities. On the other hand, when she closed her eyes, all she could see was Liam's genuine smile as he laughed at her stories about Barty. Maybe, just maybe, some complications were worth it. 3 weeks later, Chloe and Liam had settled into a strange but comfortable routine. They met for coffee twice a week, always in discreet places, always as friends. At the office, they barely acknowledged each other, maintaining a professional distance that was starting to hurt more than Chloe wanted to admit. It was a Thursday when everything began to unravel. Chloe was in the office kitchen making her afternoon coffee when she heard familiar footsteps. Liam appeared in the doorway alone for the first time in days. As Ethan was traveling, "Hey," he said, his voice low and careful. "Hi," Chloe replied, trying to sound casual, but her heart was already racing. They hadn't spoken alone at the office since that first coffee. It was too risky. "How are you?" Liam asked, moving closer to grab a mug. "Good, and you?" "Missing you," he said, so quietly Chloe almost didn't hear it. She glanced around to make sure they were alone. "Liam, you know..." "I know. I shouldn't have said that here," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's getting hard to pretend we're just colleagues when..." "When what?" Chloe asked, though she knew she shouldn't. Liam turned to face her fully, his intense gaze locked on hers. "When all I think about is you..." The air crackled with tension. Chloe felt her breath quicken, and for a moment, she completely forgot where they were. "Liam, we can't..." "I know," he said, taking another step closer. "But that doesn't change how I feel." Chloe was about to reply when she heard the unmistakable click-clack of high heels approaching. She quickly stepped away from Liam, pretending to stir her coffee just as Victoria Sterling appeared in the doorway. "Liam." "Darling, I've been looking for you," Victoria said, her gaze flicking between the two of them. "The meeting with the Japanese investors has been moved up." "Of course," Liam said, his professional mask instantly back in place. "I'm on my way." He left without looking at Chloe again, but she could feel the tension radiating from him. Victoria lingered for a moment, her calculating eyes studying Chloe. "Chloe, isn't it?" she finally said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, I've heard you're doing excellent work in marketing. Liam has mentioned you a few times in board meetings." Chloe felt a chill run down her spine. "Mentioned me?" "Nothing specific, of course. Just comments on the dedication of the younger employees. It's refreshing to see such enthusiasm." There was something in Victoria's tone that made Chloe uncomfortable, as if every word had a double meaning. "Well, I really love my job," Chloe said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm sure you do." Victoria smiled again. "I imagine you're grateful for the opportunities the company provides, especially for someone from a simpler background." Chloe felt her cheeks burn but forced herself to maintain her composure. "I'm very grateful, yes." "Good. It's important for us to remember our place, isn't it? Especially in corporate environments like this, where hierarchies are so important." The message was crystal clear. Victoria knew something, and she was making a veiled threat. "Excuse me." Chloe said, grabbing her coffee and leaving the kitchen on shaky legs. She returned to her desk, trying to act normal, but inside she was panicking. If Victoria suspected something, how many others did too? The rest of the day passed in an anxious haze. Chloe tried to work, but her mind kept replaying the conversation with Victoria and the moment in the kitchen with Liam. The tension between them was becoming impossible to hide. Around 6 p.m., as most people were leaving, Chloe was packing up when her phone vibrated. A text from Liam, "We need to talk. Can you meet me in the parking garage in 10 minutes? Chloe looked around. The floor was nearly empty. She grabbed her purse and went down to the garage. Liam was leaning against his car, his tie loosened, and a tense expression on his face. "What did Victoria say to you today?" he asked as soon as Chloe approached. "How do you know she said anything?" Because I know Victoria, and because you've been acting strange all afternoon." Chloe sighed. "She basically reminded me of my place in a very polite and threatening way." Liam muttered something that sounded like a curse. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. I never should have..." "Never should have what?" "Spoken to me in the kitchen? Or never should have asked me for coffee in the first place." "No," Liam said firmly. "I never should have let this get so complicated for you. Liam, you can't protect me from everything. And honestly, I don't want you to try. But I want to protect you," Liam said, stepping closer, "especially from people like Victoria." "Why?" Chloe asked, her voice more vulnerable than she intended. "Because this is important to you?" Liam was silent for a moment, as if battling something internally. "Because," he started, then stopped. "Because you're important to me, Chloe, more important than you should be." "What does that mean?" "It means I can't pretend we're just friends anymore. It means I think about you all the time. It means..." He hesitated, then decided to be completely honest. "It means I'm falling in love with you, and it's scaring the hell out of me." Chloe felt the world stop around her. "Liam, I know it's complicated. I know it could hurt your career. I know we're from different worlds, but I can't pretend I don't feel this anymore." Chloe stared at him, seeing the raw vulnerability in his eyes. Part of her wanted to run, to protect herself, to keep things simple. But a larger, braver part wanted to dive headfirst into this complication. "I'm falling in love with you too," she said finally, her voice just a whisper. Liam closed his eyes for a moment as if absorbing her words. When he opened them again, there was an intensity in them that made Chloe tremble. "Chloe, but not here," she said quickly, glancing around the parking garage. "Not like this." Liam nodded, understanding. "Come to my place, please." Chloe hesitated. Going to his home would be crossing a line she couldn't uncross. It would be admitting that this was more than coffee and casual conversations. "Okay," she said finally. The drive to Liam's Upper East Side apartment was silent, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Chloe followed his car, trying to process everything that had happened in the last few hours. Liam's apartment was exactly what she expected. Modern, minimalist, with a breathtaking view of the city. But it was also warmer than she had imagined, with books scattered on the coffee table and a surfboard leaning against a wall. "Drink?" Liam asked, clearly nervous. "Water is fine." They sat on the sofa, keeping a careful distance between them. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. "Liam," Chloe said finally, "before this goes any further, I need you to understand something." "What?" "I'm not going to change who I am for you. I'm not going to turn into the perfect CEO's girlfriend, wear designer clothes, or pretend to like things I don't." Liam smiled, the first time he seemed to relax all night. "Chloe, if I wanted someone like that, I would have stayed with Victoria. I fell for you exactly as you are. And I don't want you to think I'm with you for the money or status, because I'm not. I know that. It's one of the things that attracts me most to you. Your authenticity." Chloe nodded, feeling a little more secure. "So, what do we do? Now?" "Now?" Liam said, moving slowly closer. "We stop fighting this." He gently touched her face, his thumb tracing her jawline. Chloe closed her eyes, melting at his touch. "Chloe," he whispered, "can I kiss you?" Instead of answering, Chloe leaned forward, closing the distance between them. The kiss was soft at first, almost hesitant, as if they both couldn't believe this was happening. But then Chloe wrapped her arms around his neck, and Liam pulled her closer, and the kiss became more intense, charged with weeks of unresolved tension. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. "Wow," Chloe whispered. "Yeah," Liam agreed, his forehead resting against hers. "Wow." They stayed like that for a few minutes, just looking at each other as if trying to memorize the moment. "Liam?" Chloe said finally. It's still complicated. I know. We're still going to have to deal with gossip, with the power difference at the office, with people like Victoria. I know. And I still don't know how we're going to make this work. Liam smiled, kissing her forehead gently. We'll figure it out together. Together, Chloe repeated, liking the sound of the word. They spent the rest of the night talking, planning how to navigate the complications that awaited them. It would be hard. They knew that. There would be obstacles, gossip, judgments. But for the first time in weeks, Chloe felt hopeful. Maybe some complications really were worth it, especially when they came with kisses that made you forget your own name. 2 weeks after the kiss, Chloe woke up to the insistent ringing of her phone. It was Saturday, 7 a.m., and only one person would call at this hour. Mom? Chloe answered, her voice still hoarse with sleep. Chloe, honey, you need to see the news. Helen's voice was tense. What news? About you and that young man. It's all over the internet, honey. Chloe's stomach dropped. What do you mean? There are pictures of you two together at a cafe. His name is everywhere. Liam Anderson, the tech billionaire. Chloe, why didn't you tell me? Chloe sat up in bed, now fully awake. Mom, I can explain. You don't need to explain anything to me, honey. But it looks like half of New York City is talking about it. After hanging up, Chloe rushed to her computer. A quick search of Liam's name brought up headlines that made her blood run cold. Billionaire CEO caught in secret. Romance with employee. Liam Anderson and his corporate Cinderella. Affair, the relationship that could shake Innovatech. The photos were from a week ago when they had met at the cafe in the West Village. Someone had photographed them talking, laughing, and in one shot, Liam was touching Chloe's hand across the table. Out of context, it looked far more intimate than it really was. Olivia appeared at her bedroom door with Barty in her arms and a worried expression. Chloe, did you see? I saw. Your phone won't stop ringing. Chloe looked at her phone, which she'd left on silent. 17 missed calls from unknown numbers, probably journalists. 2 texts from Ethan asking if she was okay. 1 text from Liam, don't answer your phone. I'm on my way over. He's coming here, Chloe said, panicking. If the journalists find out where I live... Calm down. Let's think, Olivia said, sitting on the bed. Barty hopped into Chloe's lap as if he knew she needed comfort. First, are you okay? I don't know. I don't think so. Chloe stroked Barty mechanically. Olivia, what if this costs me my job? What if people think I... Stop, breathe, you didn't do anything wrong. But Chloe wasn't so sure. For the past 2 weeks, she and Liam had been careful at the office, but outside of it, they had allowed themselves to be happy. Coffee dates had become dinner dates. Friendly conversations had become kisses that lasted for hours. She had seen his penthouse. He had met Barty. It was real, it was intense, and now it was plastered all over the internet for the world to see. The intercom buzzed, and Chloe answered with a racing heart. Chloe, it's me. Liam's voice sounded strained even through the speaker. She buzzed him in, and when she opened the door, she saw a Liam she had never seen before. Disheveled hair, a wrinkled shirt, and red-rimmed eyes as if he hadn't slept. Chloe, I'm so sorry, he said, pulling her into a hug. I'm so sorry about this. How did this happen? She asked, pulling away to look at him. I don't know. Someone either followed us or was in the right place at the right time. Liam ran his hands through his hair. My PR team is trying to find the source. Liam, I could lose my job over this. You won't. I promise you won't. How can you promise that? If the shareholders think this is a scandal, then I'll resign. Chloe stared at him, shocked. What? If it comes down to a choice between the company and you, I choose you. Liam, you can't do that. Innovatech is your life. No, he said, cupping her face in his hands. My life changed. You changed my life. Before Chloe could answer, the intercom buzzed again and again and again. For the next 15 minutes, it was a parade of journalists trying to get a statement. They're not going to stop, Olivia observed, peeking through the window. There are at least 5 reporters downstairs. Liam picked up his phone. Carlos, it's me. I need you to come get Chloe now and bring security. Liam, I'm not going to hide, Chloe protested. It's not hiding. It's protecting yourself until this blows over. And what if it doesn't blow over? What if this becomes a permanent circus? Liam was silent, and Chloe saw the answer in his eyes. He didn't know. No one knew. 20 minutes later, a car with tinted windows parked in front of the building. Carlos, Liam's driver, managed to distract the reporters while they slipped out through the garage. Liam's penthouse had never seemed so far removed from Chloe's reality as it did in that moment. As New York City spread out below them like an urban tapestry, she felt as if she were floating on another planet. My PR team wants to schedule a press conference, Liam said, checking his phone. To clarify the facts. What facts? That you're dating an employee? That I might have taken advantage of the situation? That we're from completely different worlds? That I'm a 38-year-old single man who fell in love with an incredible 29-year-old woman. That this has nothing to do with work or hierarchy, but everything to do with two people who connected. Chloe wanted to believe it was that simple, but reality was more complex. She could already imagine the headlines. CEO defends controversial romance. Employee causes rift in tech giant. Liam's phone rang. It was Ethan. Man, where are you? The office is chaos. Victoria is giving interviews saying she always suspected something inappropriate. The shareholders are calling. And Chloe, how is she? Liam looked at Chloe, who had heard everything. She's processing. Liam, Ethan said, his voice turning serious, you need to know something. They're saying that Chloe might have leaked confidential company information. That she had privileged access through you. That's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous. You know it's ridiculous. But they're calling for an internal investigation. Chloe felt as if she'd been punched in the stomach. An investigation? Chloe, it's just protocol. It'll pass, Liam said, but she could see the worry in his eyes. Liam, this could destroy my career if people think I used insider information. You didn't, and we will prove it. How? How do we prove something that didn't happen when everyone wants to believe it did? They fell silent, the weight of the situation settling between them. Outside, the city continued its normal life, but inside the penthouse, it felt like the world had stopped. Chloe, Liam said finally, maybe it would be best if we took a break. Until things calm down. A break? Chloe repeated, the words tasting bitter. Just to protect you. To protect your career. What if I don't want to be protected? What if I want to fight for this? Liam looked at her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. Then we fight together. Together, Chloe echoed. But for the first time, the word didn't sound like a promise, but a desperate hope. The rest of the day was a blur of calls with lawyers, communication strategies, and attempts at damage control. Chloe felt like a spectator in her own life, listening to people discuss her future as if she weren't in the room. Around 7 p.m., when they were finally alone, Liam sat beside her on the sofa. How are you feeling? Like my life has been turned upside down in a matter of hours, Chloe answered honestly. Chloe, I want you to know that I don't regret any of it. Not meeting you, not falling in love with you, not fighting for this. Even if it costs you your company, the company will survive. The question is, will we? Chloe looked at him, seeing the man she had learned to love over the past weeks. The vulnerable, funny, real Liam, not the powerful CEO the world saw. I don't know, she admitted. This is so much bigger than I ever imagined it could be. For me too, Liam said. What if we can't? What if the pressure is too much? Then at least we tried. And that's more than most people get. Chloe nestled against his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart. For a few hours, they stayed like that, in silence, each lost in their own fears and hopes. When Chloe finally went home that night, she found her apartment building still surrounded by reporters. Olivia greeted her with a tight hug, and Barty immediately jumped into her lap, as if he knew she needed comfort. Now what? Olivia asked. Now, Chloe said, stroking Barty, I find out if I'm brave enough to fight for the person I love. And am I? Chloe thought about the question for a long moment. She thought of her mother, who had fought alone to raise 2 children. She thought of all the times she had made tough decisions to get where she was. She thought of the vulnerable Liam she had come to know, not the powerful CEO the world saw. Yes, she said finally, I think I am. But as she got ready to sleep, Chloe couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning, and she had no idea if she would come out of it whole. Across the city, Liam stood on the balcony of his penthouse. looking out at the lights of New York and thinking the same thing. He had built a corporate empire, had faced crises that seemed impossible to overcome, but nothing had prepared him for the possibility of losing Chloe. And for the first time in his adult life, Liam Anderson wasn't sure if he was strong enough to protect what mattered most to him. The storm was just beginning. Epilogue. 6 months later. Chloe adjusted the microphone on the podium and looked out at the packed auditorium at Innovatech. 6 months ago, she never would have imagined she would be here, about to give the most important presentation of her career to investors, employees, and the press. "Good afternoon," she began, her voice firm and clear. "My name is Chloe Davis, and I am the new Director of Innovation and Digital Strategy for Innovatech." The promotion had come after months of grueling work, an internal investigation that proved her absolute integrity, and a marketing campaign she developed that had increased the company's sales by 40%. It hadn't been easy. There were moments when Chloe thought about giving up, especially when the criticism and gossip seemed endless. But she fought and she won. Today, I want to present our new project, Authentic Connections, a platform that will revolutionize how small businesses connect with their customers. From the front row, Liam watched her with a pride he couldn't hide. Over the last 6 months, they had weathered storms that tested not only their relationship, but also who they were as individuals. There were times when it seemed they wouldn't make it. The media pressure, the internal investigation, the resistance from some shareholders, but they fought together. The internal investigation found no irregularities in Chloe's work. On the contrary, it found she was one of the most ethical and talented employees in the company. The promotion came as a natural recognition of her skills, not as a favor. Victoria Sterling had been transferred to the Lisbon office, a promotion everyone knew was an elegant exile after it was discovered she had leaked information to the press in an attempt to damage Chloe. Authentic love, Chloe continued her presentation, just like authentic business, is built on trust, transparency, and mutual respect. Our platform will connect people who value these qualities. Ethan, who now held the title of creative director, smiled from the audience. He had been instrumental during the crisis, defending both Chloe and Liam when others hesitated. After the presentation, which was met with enthusiastic applause, Chloe was surrounded by journalists and investors, but her eyes searched for only one person in the crowd. Liam approached as the crowd finally thinned. "You are incredible," he said, his eyes shining with pride. "Thank you. How do you think the board reacted?" "I think they realized what I realized months ago, that you are extraordinary." Chloe smiled, still not quite used to the praise, even after all this time. "Liam, can I ask you a question?" "Always." "Do you regret it? All the chaos, all the pressure we went through?" Liam thought for a moment, then shook his head. "Not for a second." "And you?" "Not for a second," Chloe echoed. Later that night, they were in Chloe's apartment, which was now officially their apartment, after Liam had insisted on moving to Astoria instead of Chloe moving to his penthouse. Barty had accepted Liam as part of the family, especially after discovering that Liam always brought gourmet carrots as gifts. "So," Liam said, playing with Barty while Chloe made dinner, "how was your first day as a director?" "Surreal." "Good, but surreal." Chloe smiled, watching the man she loved play with her pet rabbit. Who knew the CEO of Innovatech would be so easily defeated by a 4-pound rabbit? "Hey, Barty is formidable," Liam protested as the rabbit nibbled on his sleeve. "He clearly has opinions about everything." "Speaking of opinions," Chloe said, joining them on the sofa, "my mom wants to know when you're visiting her again. She was very impressed when you learned to surf with my brother Finn on vacation." "Your family is amazing, and Finn is an excellent surf instructor, even if he is younger than me. He was thrilled to teach his billionaire sister's boyfriend how to catch a wave." Chloe laughed. "You should have seen the look on his friends' faces when you showed up with your board." "Speaking of family," Liam said, his voice growing more serious, "my parents want to have dinner with us next week, officially." Chloe knew what that meant. Liam's parents had been cautious at first, worried about the socioeconomic differences and the press fallout. But on recent visits, Chloe had won their hearts with her authenticity and intelligence. "I think I can handle that," Chloe said, "especially if your mom makes that chocolate dessert again." "She said she's going to teach you the recipe." "Seriously? That's official acceptance into the Anderson family." "Chloe," Liam said, his voice becoming even more serious, "you know I love you, right? I know, and I love you too. And you know that these past few months have been the best of my life, even with all the chaos. Yes. Liam, where are you going with this? Liam stood up from the sofa and Barty hopped to the floor as if he knew something important was happening. Liam knelt in front of Chloe, pulling a small blue box from his pocket. I'm going to the part where I ask if you'll marry me. Chloe felt the world stand still. Chloe, I know it's soon. I know we're still navigating all these changes. But I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life fighting by your side, celebrating victories with you, and building something real together. He opened the box. This was my grandmother's ring. He explained, his voice nervous. She always said it should only be given to a woman who makes a man want to be the best version of himself. Chloe, you make me want to be better every single day. Tears streamed down Chloe's face. In 6 months, her life had changed completely. She had faced public scandal, professional pressure, and investigations. But she had also found true love, discovered her own strength, and built the career of her dreams. Yes, she said, her voice a whisper. Yes, I will marry you. Liam slid the ring onto her finger with trembling hands, then pulled her into a kiss that was interrupted by Barty hopping into the middle of them, apparently demanding to be part of the celebration. I think Barty approves, Chloe laughed through her tears. Good, because he's officially our oldest son. They kissed again, with Barty between them, in the small apartment filled with plants and books that had become the home neither of them knew they were looking for. Outside, New York City continued its bustling life. But inside that apartment in Astoria, 2 people who had chosen to fight for an impossible love were discovering that sometimes happy endings really do happen, especially when you're brave enough to dance freely, even when everyone is watching. Hey, story lovers. What a journey for Liam and Chloe, proof that the most unlikely encounters can break down the biggest barriers. We saw a CEO trapped by expectations find freedom in a connection with a woman whose courage and simplicity taught him how to truly love. A story that shows us that love doesn't see status and has the power to bring out our true selves. Now tell us, what was your favorite moment? When Liam crossed the ballroom, ignoring his world to talk to her? Chloe's courage in accepting the coffee invitation, even knowing the gossip? Or when Liam, in the midst of the crisis, proved that she was more important than his empire? Leave your comment below. If this story of a love that overcomes all differences moved you, share it. Let's spread the message that authenticity is our greatest power. And of course, suggest themes for our next videos. A big hug, and until next time, where we'll continue to prove that true love, the kind that protects, respects, and connects, is the most transformative force there is.